is at stake here. So why are you continuing to prop up the government who you say isn't taking democracy seriously? Why do you continue to prop them up?
Welcome to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today we've got a spicy episode for you. Pierre calls for Stephen Guilbeault to be fired. Not only that, we've got Jagmeet who gets eaten alive by reporters. This is a wild one. Jagmeet is questioned about the foreign interference documents that he got clearance for. He read them. His opinion of reading those documents is the polar opposite of Elizabeth May. If you haven't seen Elizabeth May, I did a video on my second channel on that. I'll link up at the end. But she basically said, oh, everything's just rosy. Everything's totally fine. I'm totally confident in her system. Nothing's wrong. At the end of that video, I show that she's listed on the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation website, so I don't think she can be trusted. She always votes with Trudeau. So anyways, let's jump into this. We'll start with Pierre.
The economic vandalism and carbon tax cover-up of this government has now been exposed because of a relentless conservative pressure. The government finally leaked out to the CBC the economic hit Canada will take, originally reported at $20 billion. With inflation, it's $30 billion a year, or almost $2,000 for every single family in Canada, something they tried to silence the parliamentary budget officer from exposing. How can we believe anything this Minister of Environment has to say on taxes?
So his documents came out today, and Guilbeault did a press conference. He's trying to back it up and say, oh, no, there's nothing wrong, nothing at all. These guys are a bunch of liars.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my honourable colleague and friend, the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, often says in this House, the Conservative Party of Canada are entitled to their opinion, not their own sets of facts, Mr. Speaker, and the facts are clear. 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back from carbon pricing than it cost them. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, but the data also shows that carbon pricing is already responsible for the reduction in pollution level by 25 million tons. That's half of our emission reduction so far, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
What is this guy wearing? He can't even get his facts straight. Like, this is embarrassing.
It's not my numbers, it's his numbers.
Exactly.
His own department just released data moments ago showing that the real cost will be $30 billion in hit to our economy. This is above and beyond the direct cost at the pumps and on people's heating bills. Now, when the parliamentary budget officer said this, he denied it. Right. He tried to gag the parliamentary budget officer and shut him up completely. Why did this minister try to hide the facts and punish a legitimate, hardworking public servant who tried to tell the truth?
Yeah, so parliamentary budget officer was said he had basically a gag order on him. He wasn't allowed to talk about it. This is so corrupt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we've established in this House that math was not the forte of the Leader of the Opposition, and that he has a hard time counting past 6, Mr. Speaker, which is the number of social housing he did when he was Minister responsible for housing. But the facts are clear. 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back from carbon pricing than the pricing system costs.
8 out of 10 Canadians are going to be living in a tent, you piece of garbage.
Not only that, but carbon pricing is responsible for half of our emission reduction, 25 million tons less pollution in the atmosphere in Canada because of carbon pricing, Mr. Speaker.
Go live in China, Guilbeault. Nobody wants you here.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That 8 out of 10 fact does not include the $30 billion of economic costs. That is $2,000 of additional costs for every single family. When we exposed that, he denied it. When the parliamentary budget officer reported on it, they attacked him and tried to gag him. Mr. Speaker, that minister is not worth the economic vandalism. We cannot believe a word he says about taxes. He needs to resign. When will the Prime Minister fire him?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I noted in the discussion yesterday the Leader of the Opposition's newfound respect for economists. But let me tell him, 300 economists in addition to the PBO say 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back. It works directly inverse to income. This Leader of the Opposition ignores the costs of climate change. Mr. Speaker, here are the facts. His climate plan is to let the planet burn. It is to ignore the economic opportunities associated with the energy transition. And look, this is a fellow who ran
or was that the other Randy? Which one is it? The money laundering Randy or normal Randy? I can't figure them out. They look the same. This Trudeau drama crap has to, like, enough of it. It's just embarrassing. Countries around the world look at us like a joke. Now, before we jump over to the Jagmeet press conference, check this out right on the Conservative website, Resign Guilbeault. So basically, you can fill it out here, send it in. This photo. Next up, we got this press conference with Jagmeet. He gets eaten alive by the reporters. I've never seen such ravenous dogs just pull apart someone. So he babbles for a bit here at the beginning, but then basically I'll play the second half of his little speech. He just a bunch of filler in the beginning. For half of his speech, all he does is goes after the Conservatives and the Conservative leadership race, blah, blah, blah. It seems like he was sitting down in the room, worked out this plan with Trudeau to use this as a political thing to go after the Conservatives. That's what this seems like. Because if you hear Elizabeth May talk, she doesn't mention anything about the Conservatives. All Jagmeet cares about is his pension, and it's quite clear with how he speaks here.
In short, there are a number of MPs who have knowingly provided help to foreign governments, some to the detriment of Canada and Canadians. There are also politicians at all levels of government who have benefited from foreign interference. Some of this behavior absolutely appears to be criminal and should be prosecuted. The redacted report also discusses the Conservative leadership contests, which were the targets of foreign interference by China and India. The Prime Minister has had access to intelligence that raises concerns about MPs knowingly benefiting from foreign interference. He may disagree with that intelligence, but I believe he has not taken the steps he should have to deal with this. He has sent the message that he is willing to accept some level of foreign interference. The Leader of the Opposition has had information for 10 days that Conservative leadership races were the target of foreign interference by India.
I should note here, the foreign interference, they targeted all of them except the Green Party.
Interference from China. His response has been silence. He's not answered a single question from the media. We do not know if anyone from the Conservative Party has followed up on these concerns. And he refuses to get security clearance to get further information that could help him know what happened and what he can do about it. He doesn't want to know, and that is deeply troubling.
No, what's deeply troubling is you propping up the government. So let's get to the question period now, because he just keeps babbling about this.
What parties are these MPs associated with? And you're saying MPs, so I'm presuming that they are currently sitting, correct?
I can't respond directly to those two questions, but I can say that there are serious concerns about MPs. That was the conclusion of the Cpac report. After having read the unredacted version, I am more convinced than ever of the conclusions of the report that is absolutely true.
Was there anything in the unredacted report that was connected to you personally?
I was a target.
Expand on that?
Appropriate for Nikki Ashton to take her family to Quebec City.
We're all on the same page here. How are you a target? How are you a target?
The report indicated that I was a target.
Is it time to walk? Our democracy is on the line. Is it time to walk away from your affiliation with the Liberal Party?
Good question.
What the report indicates to me is that this is something that's very serious and should be alarming to all Canadians, and that it requires action. And so what I want to do is, I think that first of all, every leader of a political party should read the unredacted version. We should talk about how we can take the necessary steps as leaders to ensure that each of our parties are protected from interference in this manner. And we should continue to do the work in committee like we're doing, pushing for a public inquiry to also include the Conservative Party leadership races. We should, as leaders, meet and discuss how we are ensuring that none of our candidates that are running so that we can ensure that our democracy is protected.
Why prop the government?
The MPs that are involved, wittingly or unwittingly, are they traitors to Canada?
What they're doing is unethical. It is, in some cases, against the law, and it is indeed. They are indeed traitors to the country.
Are you comfortable comfortable sitting in the House
within the report
I'll give you the next one.
that are criminal in nature? Why do you say that?
Well, this was the conclusion of the Cpac report that's publicly available as well. It was just confirmed upon reading the unredacted version. I can say that conclusion, I'm fully convinced that is absolutely true.
Are you comfortable knowing what you know?
I'll give you this one.
Well, you go next.
Do you have any comment on Nikki Ashton taking her family to Quebec City over Christmas and billing taxpayers $17,000 for that trip?
All MPs have to follow very strict rules in submitting their expenses to the House of Commons. Those I expect all my MPs and all MPs in the House to follow those rules and submit claims. Those claims were submitted and approved.
Why are you comfortable? Sorry, I let you go, so it's my turn. Are you comfortable sitting in the House knowing what you know, and is there a list of MPs in the unredacted report?
Well, the redacted version also suggests there's MPs, so that's publicly available, and that's confirmed by the unredacted version. So certainly it is clear that there are MPs, plural. That was available publicly, and that's confirmed in the unredacted version as well. So it is very serious, and this matter is not in any way addressed, and that's why I said I'm not relieved at all, in fact, I am more disturbed today than I am yesterday. I'm more disturbed by what I've learned, and it really does highlight to me the failure of leadership of both Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre. Deeply concerning failures of leadership. Like, I don't understand, after having read that report, why Justin Trudeau didn't act sooner and continues to show inaction, and why Pierre Poilievre, as I am, a prospective candidate to become Prime Minister of this country, why he expects that people should have trust in him when he doesn't want to know about very disturbing allegations.
This guy's such a clown. Come on, dude. You're never going to be Prime Minister of this country. There's not a snowball's chance in hell.
Directly connected to his party, that India, among other countries, were involved in foreign interference in leadership races. The fact that he doesn't want to know and has been silent, I believe, very firmly disqualifies him as a prospective leader of this country. Disqualifies him entirely.
Meanwhile, this guy props up the worst prime minister in Canadian history. That's real rich.
But your conclusion is very different from what Ms. May said yesterday. She seemed relieved yesterday. You say it's worse. Were you reading two different reports?
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. So, like, she basically just said, like, oh, I'm very comfortable with what I've read there. I'd have no problems. Everything seems all good, blah, blah, blah. She even basically made it seem like there was no MPs. The problem was more provincial members of the government, not MPs. It's very bizarre.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that the conclusion that Cpac has come with, those conclusions didn't change by anyone's reading of it. The conclusions are still there for the public to read. The conclusions are MPs, plural, were engaged in activities that Cpac, with multiple MPs engaged in behavior that is, in some cases, illegal and criminal, and all the behavior is unethical. Those conclusions that the report has publicly given to everybody, I believe, were incredibly confirmed with further details that I read. So the conclusions are there in front of everybody. I'm saying that I've read the document that supports those conclusions, and in fact, I am more convinced than ever of those conclusions.
Our democracy is at stake here. So why are you continuing to prop up the government who you say isn't taking democracy seriously? Why do you continue to prop them up?
So the question is, what are we going to do about it?
No,
the question to me.
Why do you continue to prop up the government when you say our democracy is at stake and this government is not taking our democracy seriously? Why continue to back them up?
Oh, this reporter needs a gold star.
We're not at all doing that. What we're saying is we're going to demand answers. We're going to continue to push for solutions. Because we're in Parliament right now, I was able to read these documents. Because we're in Parliament now, we've been able to push for a letter to have the public inquiry also include the Conservative leadership race in a part of the public inquiry's work. We want to use the tools as parliamentarians, as a parliamentarian myself, to use the tools that we have, that I have, to advance democracy. I want to use the tools that I have to get to the bottom of this. The suggestion that an election is a solution to election interference is, I think, a fallacy. What we need to do is use the tools we have to get to the bottom of this. I want to continue to push for more solutions. I want to push for more transparency. I want to push to learn more so we can have better solutions.
Mr. Singh, Ms. May said
I don't think there's a debate about whether there were MPs that were named in the report, but what she said was there was not a secret list of MPs who have been disloyal to Canada. In your assessment of the unredacted report, is there a list of MPs who have been disloyal to Canada?
The conclusions that are publicly available suggest that there are a number of MPs that were engaged in activities that were unethical, in some cases illegal or criminal. After having read the unredacted version, I agree with that finding. Absolutely. There are clearly a number of MPs that are engaged in that behavior that is borne out by the report.
And you said
You haven't got one yet. Go for it anyway.
What about senators? Did you see anything about current senators wittingly helping foreign governments as well?
Senators was not included in the public report. And the public report said parliamentarians, and so that is confirmed by the report that is parliamentarians, and it indicates parliamentarians and MPs.
And you previously said that you would kick out NDP MPs that were named. I take it you're not kicking anyone out of caucus today, to be clear.
That's correct.
Okay.
Should anyone else kick people out of their caucuses?
I believe other leaders should read the report and make that determination for themselves. And it's what I've said from the beginning. That's the appropriate thing to do. And I've also said that the Prime Minister has known this information and is clear has not acted and has not acted appropriately. And I maintain that position.
And you'll maintain supporting him to get your golden pension. We got it, big guy.
Can you give us a ballpark? Miss May did, so can you?
There are a number of MPs.
What steps should the Prime Minister take in response to this?
Take foreign interference much more seriously, have a different response to allegations that are raised for. I think one of the examples came to light publicly was around his actions in relation to Mr. Dong. And it's clear that he accepted a certain level of knowledge of foreign interference and didn't do anything. I think that is completely unacceptable. That's wrong. It should be immediately met with swift action. He delayed in that action, and doing so sends a message that some level of interference is acceptable. That is wrong, and the Prime Minister should not have done that.
How should the Prime Minister act? How should the Prime Minister? What do you want to see from Trudeau now? How should the Prime Minister act? Do you think he should name names on the floor of the House of Commons?
I believe this applies to all leaders, that all leaders should take foreign interference seriously, act immediately. Any allegations that are serious of foreign interference should result in those MPs no longer sitting in caucus at all, and they should not be running again as parliamentarians. Thank you.
Wow, they just ravenous, absolutely ravenous. He stands here acting like saying, oh, Trudeau didn't act fast enough. Trudeau this, that. Like, dude, grow a pair, call an election. Trudeau's the kingpin of scandals. I have no doubt he's the king of foreign interference too. It all runs through him. Trudeau will have his ways of hiding it and passing it off onto someone else. Everyone always takes the fall for that guy. I'm sure that's something his dad passed along to him, how to hide scandals, how to squeeze the most out of everything and never take responsibility. Let's jump over to my group here and check out some memes. That's a whole lot of foreign interference. We need to calm down with something funny. You guys are hilarious. You're posting this when I paused the video the other day. You're posting this Freeland. They get a little too spicy in the comments here, but if you guys want to check them out. Look at this. We will not take lessons from the conservatives. This guy is just a complete clown show. Like, they just laugh at him because they know he's got one line and he'll just babble. They're all kind of got their own clown show. I mean, Wilkinson, he always does he ramps it up and he's got the shaky Mick Shaker hands and then he starts doing the heavy pointing, then just goes full bore into the Trudeau drama. You don't hear Randy talking anymore because, well, which Randy do we got in the House of Commons? Congratulations to the CBC on being the first network with more employees than viewers. Yeah. The king of, yeah, that's... First of all, thank you for your question. Let me begin by Skeletor. The athlete said the rules were invalid and unlawful. Transgender swimmer Leah Thomas won't compete in next month's Olympics after losing legal battle. Yeah, maybe you should compete with men. Whether you want to identify as a woman, no one cares, but you're biologically too dominant. It's stupid. Just stop with this stupid stuff. Let me get this straight. The LGBTQ is basically a group of people who have their own month, flag, parade, movie genre, TV shows, magazine, music, and museum, but don't want to be treated differently from anyone else. Yeah, they get a full month, but military vets, oh, they only get 1 day. They're not quite as valuable. What this country needs are more unemployed politicians. Have you ever listened to someone and thought, you've got the IQ of a crayon? Now, why Ottawa can't solve Canada's problems? It's because Ottawa is Canada's problem. Essential, not essential, yes. You're playing Monopoly. After every trip around the board, you go past go. If you're the leader, you must give one piece of your property to the player with the least property. Same goes for houses, hotels, etc. Instead of collecting $200, you pay income tax of 35% to be split between other players. Soon, no one is buying property, houses, or hotels. Eventually, everyone quits trying and just waits for their handout. When someone else passes, go. Yeah, that's basically it. Well, really what's happening is they're leaving this board and they're going to another board. Here we got Mark Holland. That's probably why the Oilers lost tonight. Stay out of the stadium, Holland. You're bad luck. It's easy to look sharp when you haven't done anything. That's where we're going to wrap up this one. Let me know what you guys thought about Jagmeet just getting chewed up by those reporters. And Pierre calling out Stephen Guilbeault to be fired. He needs to be fired. He's like, that man should not be, I mean, the whole Liberal Party. There's so many just complete worthless boneheads in there who should not be in those jobs. We could literally just go down to any mall or any store or any restaurant and just pull someone from randomly anywhere and stick them in Parliament and they would do a better job. Share your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe. We'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys in the next one.